Tony D and Little Joan, who's asleep in the sunbeam, and this is a Screenwriter's Rant on the Tourist Family, a movie about a family from Sri Lanka who moves to India to start a new life, and everything goes wrong. It's sort of a family comedy. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Thanks for checking out my books, The Pineys, books 1 through 17, available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. One of the reasons I like to check out movies from other countries is you learn stuff. You learn stuff about their culture. I mean, I know so much about movies. It's kind of interesting to see how different cultures handle the same kind of movie. So this would be a family comedy. Only the family follows the Sri Lankans who speak Tamil, which is one of the languages in India and in Sri Lanka. So I guess they're kind of refugees. I think they sneak into India, maybe. And they're looking for more work. Maybe there's not a lot of work in Sri Lanka. The father has a job at first. There's a scene, I think it's in the beginning, where they get stopped by the Indian military, who are also the Indian cops. Looks like they have border security there. But somehow they talk their way out of it. The young son has been given instructions on how to explain themselves, but he keeps screwing it up, which is one of the running gags. But somehow they get in the country, I think because of a relative who already moved there. And the father starts a job there. But then he loses the job. He gets fired. It's a very sad scene. And so things go sideways. The cops are still bothering him. Maybe they're going to get kicked out of the country. The son is annoyed because they've moved. They live in kind of poor conditions, but they bond together as a family and probably overcome it, because I think it's a light movie. Although there's a lot of scenes of people getting slapped in the face, which I found very amusing. It's very old school, compared to American movies. You don't see people get slapped. That kind of stuff still flies in India. Just giving your kid a little slap on the back of the head, like, yeah, you moron. so which I found amusing. Here the son screws it up again. There's a scene in theaters May 1st, probably not here. There's a scene in which the cops mistake the Sri Lankan family for being from a area I assume in India, called Kerala. And then they have to, in order to keep their cover, so to speak, they agree. And then the father has to get them different papers in order to justify, yes, we're actually from Kerala. So I don't know, that's probably an area full of people who speak Tamil. So this is the kind of stuff you learn. There are a million languages in India, and then some of those bleed over into other South Asian countries like Sri Lanka, which is, it's a separate country, right? Yeah, it's a separate country. I don't think it's a region. Here he's selling off, I think, some of the family jewelry in order to get enough money to live. So there's some sad scenes, but I think mostly it's supposed to be a family comedy. And eventually they overcome and end up staying and being part of Indian society. So it's just a different way of delivering a family comedy. But it would be something that people in India and probably Sri Lanka could get behind. Like they could relate to it, because these are people in their society. Directed and written by Abhishan Jeevanth. And it's actually on the IMDb. So it had a write-up. A quirky Sri Lankan family seeking a fresh start in India transforms a disconnected neighborhood into a vibrant community with their infectious love and kindness. I had to read a lot of this ahead of time in order to understand it. I did about 4 takes of this trying to figure it out. It's not in English, but it is subtitled. So here he is. The cop mistakes them for being from Kerala, and then he gets like different ID or something. So I, of course, don't recognize any of the actors, but they seem like they're doing a good job. I would see this. Again, it's for me as an American. It's more for the novelty of learning about the culture through movies. I know it won't be. That's not exactly. I mean, movies aren't exactly like real life, but it reflects real life. So you do learn stuff, I think. But it's interesting to me how certain things in a movie like this, essentially a family comedy, will fly, like the slapping, and maybe not so much in American movies. Although at one point it did here, that kind of, Three Stooges slapping kind of nonsense, was in American movies for a while, and then it just sort of disappeared. But in India, it's still kind of in it. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if it ends with a musical number with the cast, but it might. You have to give it up for the Indians. Their movies they really try to entertain. They're really pulling out all the stops. There's often a lot of layers to it, and a lot of times they're fun. Even when it's a serious, this guy's funny. Even when it's a serious movie, it's often a lot of fun. Although, again, I think this one is meant to be funny, and like I've said before, comedies usually don't translate to other cultures, so a lot of the jokes would just go right over your head if you're an American like me, right? You just would be like, I don't know what that means. But some of it does, some of it translates, which is why, movies seeking a broader worldwide market, if you're going to do any kind of comedy in it, you got to try to make it really broad, But it's very tough. It's very tough because the stakes are often important in the story and why the joke even happens. In this case, the refugee status, I guess, of the family is what's at stake. And since I don't know the exact what's going on between Sri Lanka and India in that realm, I can only parse it from the context of the movie, right? So to me, that's kind of the fun of watching it once in a while, a movie like this. It's a bit of a puzzle for me to try to figure it out. And even in this, I had to watch the trailer a couple of times and reread the dialogue and kind of draw some conclusions. But, as opposed to an American comedy where I know all the stakes, where I just want to laugh. So that's why, a movie's not going to hit quite the same way. But if you're like me and you like to see movies from other cultures, I mean, this, again, would be an interesting watch, I think. Anyhow, that's it for me, Tony D, and Little Joan, somewhere in the house. Thanks for tuning in. I will be at the Halfway to Halloween event in Woodbridge, New Jersey, at the train station there. I just got a notice. Looks like the weather's going to hold. On Saturday, I will be at the New Jersey Folk Festival, where we'll be under big tents, I'm told. That's from 10 to 4. I will be doing a reading or talk, I should say, at 10 o'clock. So come early if you're there to see me. Sunday, I'll be at the Earth Fair in East Hampton, New Jersey. and that's from 11 to 4. Hope to see you there. We'll see you in the next one.